Good morning, metalheads from all across the globe. We have Bloodkill for tonight's show. This is your host, I am GAROUL, and you're listening to Metal Messiah Radio. Before I go on the conversation with Bloodkill, I would like to give you information about Metal Messiah Radio. So, Metal Messiah Radio has been around for 10 plus years and it has RJs across the globe. I'm being fortunate enough to be part of their team, and I make sure that I play Indian metal every Saturday from 8:30 to 10:30 IST. And let's start. Hi Anirudh and Yash.
Thanks for having
And
us.
thank you. Thank you so much for having us. It's good to be here.
Thanks Yash. Thanks Anirudh. Right. So let's start off with the origins of the band.
Right. Okay. So basically this started off back in 2016. So the founding members of the band, Vishwas and Cyril, and I happen to be the founding member of the band too. But then I kind of came into the picture a little later. I think towards early 2017, late 2016-ish kind of. So Vishwas, who is the rhythm guitarist right now, and Cyril, who was again part again was playing leads at that point.
Okay.
With us. So Vishwas and Cyril are actually childhood friends. So they've known each other for a really long time now, and it was actually their aspiration to kind of play music together, write music together, and they've been wanting to do this. And so again in 2016, as I said, they really started jamming together. Initially, they started jamming with Carnage, and a little bit with negative theory as well back in the day. And again, I think in late 2016 is when they really took it very seriously and they started reaching out to people, to other musicians basically, to make it a proper band as such. So they reached me out for bass, and then I kind of took it up. We jammed for a while and things worked out really well. Again, same way for our vocalist back then, Sudhin Nair. We jammed with him, things worked out well, and our ex-drummer Hiren. So it was pretty good back then. But then I think again in around early 2017 is where Cyril wanted to move out because Cyril is a very strong rhythm player himself, and so is Vishwas. So two rhythm guitarists in the same band doesn't really go that well. So kind of Cyril stepped out at that point, and then we kept on playing as a four-piece band with only rhythms, a little bit of leads by Vishwas, me on the bass, and Sudhin on vocals and Hiren on drums. So that kept on happening, and then again, like a little later in the year is when Sudhin wanted to pursue a different venture, and that's where he moved out. And our current vocalist, Andy, who is also on the call, he joined us again. Andy, again, was this in 2017?
This was, yeah, so I came in touch with you guys like 2017 and all. Firstly, I just met Vishwas during the Durance of Fate Mumbai, like back in November 2017. I was introduced to him via Varun, who's the frontman of Carnage Inc. And he was also like those guys were on a tour, right, for a tri-city or a four-city tour that was happening. So he introduced me to Vishwas, and from there we hit it off. So for a couple of months we were just talking about how we proceed about it. And then I jammed with these guys in December. And after a couple of jams, I was a part of the band. I think January is when, yeah, I officially joined the band.
Right.
Right. So I think we actually like really started doing out a lot of gigs after Andy joining us. So I think 2018 has been a good year for us in terms of the amount of gigs that we've done. So it has kind of worked out well for us. And then again, Shubham, who is our current lead guitarist, also joined us. Now making the band complete in terms of the musical dimension. So this is how the formation of the band has really shaped up.
That's right. I mean, and the conversation that we are having right now, I mean, it's interesting about you talking about Vasai Metal and Cyril and Vishwas being in the same band and then moving out in different directions with different bands. I mean, I did not know this, and I'm sure most of the Indian metal heads wouldn't be aware of this story as well.
Right. So what I metal scene itself is, it's a good deal, you know. Like I mean, it's Carnaging. Carnaging has been like around in the scene for like a really long time now. And then Sabotage has been again one of very promising upcoming bands.
Yeah, they released
Uh,
a pretty kick-ass EP also last in
exactly.
2019.
Yeah, and I mean the video as well, the music video.
Yeah.
Yeah, the animation and video. So yeah, so I mean, he's getting some really great jobs, you know, and so is amazing. And again, I mean, we've been around for I think what a good 3 years now, slightly 3+ years now. And yeah, so I mean, what I've seen itself is doing pretty all right for itself. Yeah, I think as you said, not a lot of people know about this, but yeah, hopefully now they will.
Right.
I think even the frontman for the band Atmosphere, Bruce McCoy, right? Even he's from Vasai.
He's from Vasai. Yeah, I
So
mean,
I think
I
it
think
is something with Vasai
the
now.
Prabhune brother and sister also
Yeah,
from
the
there.
Praveen twins.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think Vasai
exactly.
mein kuch like there's something different, I guess, a different water or something.
No, that is almost a
Mhm.
Right. Like, can you give me more information about the name of the band?
Right, again. So it was pretty simple. Uh, so what happened is again when we really had a lineup per se back then we again we decided on giving it a name and we had a few names in mind and a few names popped up out of which Bloodkill was one and Sabotage was one. So Sabotage again, of course, Cyril came up with Sabotage and Vishwas came up with Bloodkill. So we had, I think, a good 15, 16 odd people there in the jam room at that point, chatting with us. And we kind of raised a simple poll, like we raised a vote basically. And Bloodkill got most number of votes, and that's how we landed up with Bloodkill. And
Right.
then, Cyril moved out, and then he named his band as Sabotage. So, yeah, so that's the story with the names at least.
Right. I mean, 15, 16 people in a jam room is no longer a jam, then it's a gig. That's what happens in India.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty good back then. It was Moon's Jam Room in Nala Sahara here. And so, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, with this whole Vasai scene, I mean, even if, so back in the day when Carnage used to jam, we used to have a lot of people in the jam room. So it almost kind of, look like a mini jam room gig kind of a thing. With,
Yeah.
with
More
that
of a
type of
brotherhood,
attendance.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
that is pretty good.
And I think that brotherhood has carried on like forward even as the members have come and gone, so to speak. Like,
Correct.
yeah, like with all like Sabotage having more
Right.
new members and then me and the boys joining the band later on, and Bloodkill. The brotherhood is still remain, like it's still there. So
Right,
that's
right.
a good thing
Absolutely.
about the Vasai scene, so to speak.
Right, mate.
Yeah.
So, since you said something about that you've been around for like 3 years now, three or more, I believe. And in this 3 years, you've done numerous gigs, Battle of the Bands, to say, and trying to establish a foundation which you guys have done phenomenally well right now. And just wanted to understand, like, when this idea popped up that okay, it's time to make sure that we launch an album and just the writing process of the album.
So I think, you want to go ahead with this, Yash?
No, I think you can answer since you are writing most of the lyrics.
So yeah, okay. So I'll take it from this part. But so the thing is, when we were like had released Horoscope back in 2018. I think that was my first song with the band.
Right.
And eventually we were playing some shows. I think we played two, three more shows after the release, which was mid 2018. And we had crafted some songs. So the original plan was actually to release an EP of say songs and all. But with each situation that came about, we are actually let's just go album altogether because we want everyone to hear all the songs. It's a part of our journey. So we wanted the listeners, so to speak, to experience the journey with us. The entire
Right.
progress, and like in different situations made us craft like different type of songs here and there. I mean, Yash can tell you about how our title track came about. So that's
Right. I think so. Yeah. So again, just to add up to what Andy just said, so we had our first single out in 2017, 3D, and then our second single was out in 2018. So with I mean, we've always had the basic song structure is always in place. Again, as most bands have a lot of ideas. So, I mean, for us also, like, I mean, the ideas just kept on coming and we just kept on writing songs after songs and, scrapping a few, keeping a few,
Okay.
modifying the existing ones. And, that process just kept on happening. And, again, as I said, that because we've had a few lineup changes, things, kind of were a little difficult, because with a new member coming in, he'll bring his own style, his own musicality
Right.
uh, in that song. So, the basic element, right, the aesthetic of the song would change. So it did kind of change from the way we made the songs earlier and with the new members joining in. So which is good, I think, with the
Yeah.
new members coming in,
More
the
new
songs kind of
ideas.
shaped out. Exactly. So the
yeah.
song shaped out pretty well. And so again, as Andy said, we actually had an idea of coming out with an EP earlier, but then since we had more songs in our bucket, we thought that it's better that we just rather go out with an album instead. And plus, I mean, I think we would have we actually should have come out with this album way earlier. I think 2019 is the time when we thought that okay, we should be coming out with this album. But then, as I said, with the amount of lineup changes we've had previously, so it's been a little unfortunate in that aspect.
Yeah.
Otherwise, had that element not been around, I think our album we would have probably had this conversation last year, I guess.
Right. And to add
So
all
yeah,
and to add on to it, add spices to it, we had this pandemic to make it worse.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness,
Yeah,
that
the
has been
pandemic
just a
was
nightmare.
the big G.
We've done a good amount of recording actually
Yeah.
during the pandemic only. Not, I mean, a few things here and there which were kind of left out previously. So we actually finished off a major chunk of our recording segment just pre-lockdown. I think, Andy, we finished off in
Yeah, I
March, no?
think
I guess.
so. The funny thing is, like, we had finished about 90% of our recording in what, February? I think late February, somewhere around early March. And I think it was just before our last, I think one of the last recording sessions that we had, that's when the entire lockdown started. So after that, we had like an entire delay of about what, 7, 8 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Then just like in October, I think, yeah, October, November was when we finally finished the remaining recording, so to speak. That's how this entire thing happened.
Right. And how many
Yeah.
tracks do we have on this album?
So we have a good total of 8 tracks, and each of those tracks we believe have a very distinct flavor. You know, like it's something which we thought like every member in the band, has a very different influence, so to speak. And I
Right.
feel each of that influence has reflected on the songs that they've crafted. Like Vishwas has a very Metallica and a very thrash sort of an influence here and there, right? Yash has a little more of the Behemoth style. He loves Behemoth, by the way, so a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
his playing style also comes into that.
Right.
I
Hell
come
yeah.
from a very NY hardcore mixed with some sludge. Like that's my influence here and there,
Right.
and love to incorporate growls. And our lead guitarist, he's into all progressive metal and all. So all of these different influences that we have, it all resulted in the songs also getting their own unique identity, so to speak.
Right. And can you also give the listeners a taste of what the album sounds like. So, the track that we will be playing for I Am Messiah, if you can give more information about that.
So the instrumentation part is what Yash can explain. But what I can talk about is how the lyrical content came to be. So for I Am the Messiah is basically what my take was on, how many fraudulent godmen are prevalent in this country, right? Like the amount of people who just con people under the guise of being a messenger of God, and how they're like, we'll lead you to a new era if you just follow us, and they end up manipulating all these masses, under their guise key that, yeah, we're going to lead you to a new world, and so to speak. And the moment these guys the followers, so to speak, get disillusioned, is the moment they try to get rid of these certain people. And the entire take on this song was where I put myself in the shoes of that so-called messiah and narrate the story. That's how the lyrical content of this goes. The
Nice.
instrumentation, yeah, yes, can give you a better
Yeah,
idea.
right. Right. So, I mean, of course, the lyrical content is great, and quite, so the way it works for us is we had the basic, not the structure, a little bit of, a few patches from what the song is right now. We had a few patches figured out of how the song should sound, basically. And so the sound has a lot of elements, right? So this is not like a very simple kind of a song where there's, repetitive rhythm riffs and, the bass kind of following the rhythms and a very simple structure of the song. It has multiple layers into it. The rhythms is playing a certain riff while the bass is playing completely else, while still being reminiscent to what the rhythms are playing. There's a little bit of difference in what Shubham, our lead guitar, is also playing. Again, while being reminiscent to what the rhythms are playing. The drums are great. The vocals are amazing. So I mean, holistically, of course, when one listens to this on the headphones, I think one would know that there are multiple layers involved in the song, and I think the song has turned out pretty well.
And
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
I
for
absolutely. It's
and,
pretty kick-ass. And
and
by the
I
way,
think for
I'm sorry. I was
I,
saying, by the way, to the listeners who haven't actually heard the song, I'll be adding the link to the description, so you can definitely check that out. I'm going to play that. So while you are live, I'll post the links of the Facebook and Instagram of the band, and you can go ahead and like them. Right. Now, since we are talking about the song and the album, by the way, the album name is Throne of Control, right?
yeah.
Right. So, what's the idea behind the name? And yeah, can you give a little more details about how the other tracks of this album are going to be lyrically, and of course, by the compositions of.
So you wanna go first or should I? Yes.
No, you go in first.
So so the songs in general, like as I said earlier, each of these songs have a very distinct flavor. Like you can tell when you hear the album in one sitting that yes, this is something different is going on here and something different.
Right.
So from a compositional standpoint, I think we approached our song in a very natural manner. We didn't force anything into it, and we went about with what we felt was right when we were composing the songs. With regard to the lyrical content that came about, it was mostly in the realm of how things are not exactly what they seem on surface level. The duality of things. Since as a lyric writer, I'm obsessed with the concept of duality, so to speak.
Hmm.
Like one song which properly describes that would be this track called False Face, which is another trashy, heavy thrash sort of an affair in the album. And funnily enough, that the concept was actually an idea which was Yash's when he was giving me ideas for lyric, because creative writer's block often comes in right when you're trying to write a proper lyric for this sort of song. and Yash came up with the idea. And somewhere down the line, in the back of my mind, when I was writing the subsequent songs that came about, a lot of the undertone that is there always dealt with that sort of a duality of things, right? Like for I Am the Messiah also, it's about a person who shows that he's something to the masses, but he isn't, right? Like what his real face is something completely else. And all the songs in a similar vein fall under that sort of realm. Then we have another song called Blinded Circus. Now that's a little more separate in the sense that it's a bit more politically charged, but at the same time, it still has its same undertone of things not being what they really seem to be from a layman's perspective.
Right.
So that's how the overall lyrical content came about for the album. And instrumentation, as I said, like we all approached it, like the arrangements of the song, we approached it in a very natural manner. As I said, what felt right
Right.
with us when we were composing it.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Super.
Because
Yeah, I mean, I think Andy has covered almost everything about what's there in the album. I think I'm not
That's
sure
right.
anything to add.
So
Yeah.
let's
Anyway,
now, since we are on to that, let's talk about the artwork. I mean, was this the idea that you presented it to the acetode, or is just his mind's eye that something has been born out of that?
yeah.
the concept was something which was like a mixture of all the song themes that are going on and about. And we sort of relayed to him like this is a certain concept like that we want and this. But it's really Acetode or Gaurav Basu who came through with it in such a fantastic manner. Like
Right.
Right.
he just
So
gave
we,
life to that concept.
right. So I think we actually had a basic structure in our minds of how the artwork should look like. Of course, like I mean, from a lyrical standpoint, I mean, of course, we wanted to have an appearance of what the lyrics are. We wanted people to look at the artwork and listen to the music and kind of feel connected to both of them at the same time.
Right.
We wanted that thing to happen. So a lot of, a major part of what the artwork is right now is actually, it has a direct resonance to what the lyrics are in the album in almost all the songs. So of course we had a basic design, a basic idea of what the basic main character should look like,
Right.
what the aesthetics of the artwork should look like, what should happen around it and everything. So we had a pretty long discussion with Gaurav on this. And Gaurav, of course, you know Gaurav, right? Like, I mean, he's
Yeah.
a thorough professional himself. He knows what he's doing.
Correct.
So, I mean, basis whatever we had in our minds, he just sent out a few basic layouts, a few drafts, and I think it took us no time in selecting one of them. And then, we just kind of kept on adding elements to it. And, absolutely, I agree with Andy. Gaurav has done an absolutely amazing job.
Awesome. It is definitely one of the finest artworks that I've seen in recent times. So it's pretty kick-ass. And yeah, I mean, when are we actually going to listen to the whole album in its entirety? What's the
So
We
now
launch
we
are
are
date?
actually coming out with it on 19th of January.
Is there a pre-launch for Spotify or iTunes?
no, I think we're going to just unleash it in a bang on 19th,
Right.
just
That's the
dive
best way
headfirst
about it.
into the feast that we have prepared for you, for the listeners
Right.
out there.
Right, so now we've come to the point where I'll be playing the track for you guys. This is For I Am the Messiah. Enjoy.
Worship me, I'm your Lord, my words you heed. The mark of divinity, blessed are those who get to see. Let me and I am the cure, your only hope. Purge you of the sicknesses, my will of living God. Surrender to the voice within your physical mind. Let me be the guide to wilderness beyond these lies. Conquer the sin and souls, kill all who bleed. No more mercy to get on, but they were trying to lead. Savior of the burning road, message of God. The light of divinity first
absolute ripper there from Bloodkill for I Am Messiah. This is a banger song, and if you want to hear more about their album, make sure you'll go onto the description and check out their music.
Right, all. So now we've come to the part where we'll be talking about the recommendations of Indian bands. So we have Bloodkill, and they will give us some recommendations. So make sure you check out the bands they are talking about. There's some kick-ass Indian metal to be discovered.
So, I mean, there are a lot actually, but then, I mean, at this point, from what I can, what's there at the top of my mind, definitely 100% check out for Carnage Inc., 100% check out for Sabotage. Then there are a lot of established bands already. Cryptos, I'm a huge fan of. Again, a huge fan of Chaos, Bhayanak Moth, Devoid. There's so many. Andy, come on, I'd help you with this. There are more.
One to done. So yeah, I mean, for me, the entire playlist this year has been mostly Indian bands. I've been digging a lot of Diarchy, Eternal Returns, the band that you front released a fantastic record. There's from the old guard. There's Undying Ink. There's a lot of
Sanctum as well.
yeah,
Right.
Gaurav Vasu's band Inner Sanctum. They released a kick-ass song and a video. And I've been also listening to a lot of Dead Exaltation's new song that they released, pretty kick-ass. And yeah, special shout out to Infestation. Those guys are also ripping it with the songs that they've been releasing for the past 2 years or so. Especially, I think they released Slaughter Your Gods in 2023. That was a pretty cool track, especially if you're into the whole death groove aspect of metal music. And then there is the regular jams with Gutslit, Godless, Primitive.
Yeah.
Primitive has been,
Atmosphere.
Atmosphere also a kick-ass death metal band. And Primitive, as I was saying, like a huge part of my playlist currently. Rest in peace, Nitin. And I think there's also Kill Count. Yes, Kill Count released a Fab album also last year. So these are what
Albatross is also there.
oh yes, no, the song that they're chugging out. That's pretty there.
There's a lot actually,
I mean,
but then
That's right.
right at this point in time, this is what we can actually think of. But again, apologies to the other bands that we can't think of at this point. But definitely a huge shout out to all of these guys.
Right, man.
So yeah.
I
And,
mean, I guess the scene in itself is so vast. Like there are so many bands now who are putting out material and pretty kick-ass material at that. Like it's now getting a little harder to keep a check on and out for all these bands that are coming out and about.
Exactly. It's a very bigger scene now.
Yeah, I mean, it's over time. It has just grown and grown at a slow but a consistent pace.
right, and I'll make sure that all the bands are heard, at least from what I've heard from Indian metal. I make sure that Metal Messiah Radio also listens to it and their listeners enjoy Indian metal. So my part of doing this was mostly about just presenting Indian metal. So this is one of the beauty that if there are if there's a radio station which has 2 hours dedicated to Indian metal, then I think we've done our job pretty well.
Absolutely. That'll be great.
Right, man. Thanks a lot for doing this interview. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks a lot for having
Thank
us
you
on.
so much. Thanks for having us. Thank you.